Audio rolling, video rolling. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And this started a long time ago. And when I say a long time ago, to me, it's a long time. But for 10 years, Detroit is Different has been in effect. So that's 2014. And along the journey for Detroit is Different and this whole podcast, because it started really originally as just the website and the podcast, I've had many guests. This was one of my original guests. Back when we had another iteration of the studio and so many other things.
I think we was in the closet.
Yes.
2 seats and a recorder.
It was an iteration. Also, one of the people that hopped in at a lot of studio when we were doing what was happening connected to COVID. Like, okay, let's do something outside because people definitely ain't going inside. And one of the funniest people in Detroit, definitely you already heard his voice. It's classic. You already know who this is, and I'm going to try to say it as best as I can. Introduction. How you doing, Mr. Howie Bell?
Brother Frazier, what's going on, man? My pleasure, brother. I'm good, man. Happy holidays and, all that good stuff. Man.
Definitely.
Good to be back. Yeah, you definitely remodeled.
Yeah, man. A lot has
changed
changed.
it up. Yeah, you did. You stepped up. Yeah, it's that PPP money. Right? I see what you did during COVID. You can't, remodel, bought another house. When you go get the lot paved out, I know that's next.
Hey, that does need. Howie's right. If you come over here, that's what's next.
That's what's next.
Nothing's
Save
worse.
part of the grass, and then you get you a paved out area.
Hey, nothing's worse than when you shovel snow and then you hit that crack.
Oh man, yeah.
You got to be a real snow shoveler to know what hitting that crack is like. And then you be like, and then it throw everything off. Whereas if it's all smooth,
you can't shovel snow anymore. I don't think they
not
do
really.
They don't do that.
Nah. They have like the landscaping crews.
Yeah.
Landscaping.
Or the kids just don't do it at all.
Yeah, well, that too. So originally when we interviewed, I wasn't even in my format and everything. Yeah. So now we about to do regular Detroit is Different. Then we gonna fast forward to classic Howie stuff.
Come on, man.
So
talk to me, brother.
Generations deep in Detroit. How deep is your people to Detroit? Are you first, second, third generation? When did your people come in?
That's a good question. I need to kind of research that because, for both sides of the family, mom's side and dad's side, I think for my mother's side of the family, they go back to, I want to go back to the 40s.
Okay,
you know
40s.
What I'm saying?
From where?
Like mid-40s or something like that. I think some of them came from Arkansas.
Okay.
Some of my family still live in Arkansas. You know what I'm saying? So
whereabouts?
Now that's a good question. I got to remember the cities because we haven't been there in a while.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's not Little Rock, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, in Arkansas. And then my father's side of the family, they've been around for quite some time. I want to say around the same time, late 30s, 40s, and they're from Alabama.
Whereabouts?
I want to say not far from Montgomery and then some other parts of Alabama.
And Alabama is a classic Detroit.
Yeah, absolutely. And so when they moved to Detroit, both sides of the family actually knew each other before my mother and my father got married.
Wow.
Yeah, my mother's father knew my father's mother. And they used to run in the streets and hang out and you know what I'm saying? And kicking in Detroit back in the 50s.
So they was
40s,
like
50s, yeah.
They was like the kids in the back room.
Yeah, they knew, you know what I'm saying? Like, back then a lot of people from Detroit kind of, you know what I'm saying, lived, North End and some the Black Bottom, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people knew each other.
And they were they were in the North End?
Yeah, some of my family lived North End and some in my mother's side Black Bottom. Like kind of a little bit of both.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
All right, and now we can just jump to your neighborhood. Where did you grow up as a kid?
So I grew up off of the neighborhood ain't there no more.
Hilarious.
Part of it is kind of look like the Middle East right now. You call it Little Beirut, but I grew up on Keating between Remington and Winchester, off of State Fair and John R.
I already knew you was about to say East State Fair. So like a lot of people look at like when they talk about like, oh, it gets hood over here. People usually bring up Brightmo. People talk about Mack and Bewick.
Yeah.
Certain areas of 7 Mile, but East State Fair, for anybody that knows East State Fair,
hey, man,
is
I send anywhere from Woodward to I-75, all them streets in Nevada, 6 Mile, 7 Mile, 8. That whole like pocket right there. You know, people that went to Pershing and Nolan and
Coney Gardens, and
all that. Coney,
shout out Martini Harris.
Yeah, that whole area, you know what I'm saying, kind of connected. You know what I'm saying? And that's where I grew up at.
And
I played football for the East Side Cowboys.
For real?
Yep.
East Side Cowboys.
East Side Cowboys.
I was a West Side Cub.
Yep, see?
They said that, the East
I still
Side
got my
Cowboys.
trophy. When you come over to the man cave next time, I'm sure. 1982.
There we go. There we go. All right, so
I moved from, we lived there, and then I moved from that part to the West Side. So my mom, you know, we relocated.
You moved on up to the West Side.
We moved to, actually, well, I take that back. It was a step first. We actually lived in Indian Village for a second. For about a year, and I went to Buttsville Middle School, which is not Bates. No, it's not Bates. It's called something else.
Oh, the school.
The school now is called something else, but it was Buttsville back then. It was on Van Dyke and like Kirchhoff, something like that. But we lived in Indian Village for a second. Then we moved to where we lived for the longest, which was Sorrento and Curtis.
Oh man,
like
Sorrento and Curtis.
Yep.
All right. I used to go to Big D's barbershop.
Yeah, of course.
And that's on Livernois. Yeah, okay. It was you was jockeying for different positions. Shout out Eric B. That was my barber for so long almost. But yeah, so that neighborhood. What do you remember about that neighborhood?
Well, you already say I went from Buttsville to I went to a whole bunch of middle schools. We moved all around Detroit at that time in my life. And then I went to Beaubien, which is now Bates Academy. So, and I hated Beaubien. That was one of the worst schools.
Why do you
from the East Side too?
Why did you like Beaubien?
No friends.
Oh, because they was.
I was an East Side guy. You know what I'm saying? This is going over there with the 8 Mile Sconies and 7 Mile. You know what I'm saying? The 76ers and the BKs and you know what I'm saying? The PAs and all that. Like I didn't know about all. You know what I'm saying? I'm an East Side guy.
Yep.
Man, I was fighting all the time, bro.
Oh man!
I stopped catching the Wyoming bus from Beaubien down to Curtis. I was like, "It's no need for me to get on this bus, so I'm gonna just keep fighting."
Hilarious.
As soon as I got out of school, I'm just gonna go out the back door.
Hilarious.
Go and start running.
Oh man!
I was like, man, it was all the time.
Oh man!
Yeah, it was terrible, man.
Man,
I wonder where a lot of them guys are these days. You know what I'm
saying? They probably like leading like children groups and like
it could be, man.
Football coaches.
Thing happened to them guys because them dudes was mean, man.
And they preachers.
Man, they could be, or they could be in jail.
That's a possibility.
Some of them guys, I wouldn't be surprised they ain't here no more.
And they gonna be like, it's like that era, that 80s era.
That era was crazy. That's when people used to get rushed.
Bum rush.
And he's just called a rush. You know what I'm saying? Be 30 dudes on you, boy. You know what I'm saying? That was that time in Detroit.
So I know you was like, I hate the West Side.
Hated it.
You was like, can't do the West Side. Got to get back.
Mumford was like the next school. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to Mumford at all. I'm about to go back to the East Side. So then I went to King. I still lived on the West Side, and then went to King, and of course graduated from King in 1980.
Yeah. KC, Lorenzo Wright, and all of that. Yeah. So
my daughter's here; she goes to Cass.
Yeah, she put a thumbs down just to the whole concept. But a King Crusader, I started as a King
Crusaders, baby. Did you?
Yeah. Then finished as one, and like many folks. What program was you in at King?
I was in regular King.
Oh, you was in CPLA. He's
regular. That's what they used to call it back then. I wasn't in MSAT or CISC, whatever they used to call that.
You were in class with the brothers from the King homes.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
We was
Ralph Bunch.
We was taking calculus in ninth grade, and you was
I was taking regular algebra.
Regular algebra and interesting dice games from those brothers from the King homes.
But you know what's funny? We all used to hang out back then. Like it didn't matter what program you were in, because we all played sports and I was involved in ROTC, football, everything, like that, and activities. I mean, I hosted talent shows at King.
Oh man, we definitely got to talk about that. I want to say
actually my early debut as a stand-up comedian. I didn't even know it.
Wow, culturally, the one thing I learned from going to King, and it changed everything. Okay, so Detroiters, and I don't even know. You travel the country, so you can share this, but. Why do Detroiters play tunk so much? Where do people play tunk other than
we've been playing that for
other than Detroit? Where do people play tunk?
They play tunk other places. We just kind of dominated it. It's a gamble. It's a gamble thing.
So that's where I learned from them
kids. It's a big time gambling game here.
Them kids in the King home. So for people that don't know how to play tunk, and I don't even know if they have like it's no app.
It might be.
No app for tunk. I don't think it may be. I don't know.
Tunk rules.
Yeah. So you can Google the rules.
Make their own rules up.
But you could. But technically, like when I learned to play, the goal is to like get a spread, meaning like you get like a 3, 4, 5, or 3 threes or whatever. But you could also, as they know,
the ultimate goal is to get the lowest amount of numbers in your hand.
And I learned that from the King Homes guys because they would
have 5 cards and I have 11.
That's what I learned. That's what I learned there.
Else, you drop with 15. I might could catch you with 12, and now you got to pay double. So that's a whole different.
For the traders, they're like, yep. And I'm just telling you, like because on the west side, we was always trying to catch a spread. The east side guys, they catch a hand, they be like drop.
Yeah, we like, what waiting for?
You be like, damn man, I can't even establish my hand.
I dropped with 28. And I've done dropped with 30. They got all them face cards. They can't catch it.
What he's saying is, and that's where like I learned culturally. It's like, damn, East Siders play tunk differently than West Siders.
It's a different strategy. Same rules, but it's a different strategy.
East Siders is just like drop.
I'm not holding because see, you can hold to try to get spread, and then you can hold your other 2 cards to try to get another, so you can tunk out. Is what they call it. So then that's double too.
Yeah, but
if you get 49 or 50, that's double too. Some people just play 50 double, but 49 or 50.
Oh, we get into the real rules now. I love it. and what he's saying is definitely, as you see, even in high school, gambling.
It was intricate, wasn't it? It was intricate.
You know.
And then you could drop, and then a couple people catch you. Like if you pay more than money, you got to pay everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's a whole other thing. Just like if you win, everybody got to pay you the same way.
I'm telling you, them guys at the King Home, it was like it was like casino rules.
It was like a mini
like
casino.
Oracles. It was like oracles you would go to and be like, hey, what happens when this happens? It's like, nah, they pay everybody.
Down to South Carolina, bro. I graduated from Benedict College in Columbia, South Carolina. I took that game down there, bro. I was popping them. I was buying Fila shoes and hoodies and all kind of tracks.
Drop it with 35.
Killing them, man.
Drop it with 35.
Dropping with 35.
Like, you start setting your hand. It'd be like, man, I got a jack and I got a queen.
Or one pull and drop. Because if I got one face card, and all these other, one pull, I'm down. I'm not trying to get it. People that don't know how to play tunk, y'all don't understand this. This game is serious.
Yes.
I just seen many fights.
Many fights. And almost like sometimes, because like people definitely shoot dice, like Martini and all of that, but like it gets intense.
Dice, but
a tunk game gets very intense. And how the whole thing, like people are watching.
A lot of people in Detroit play poker now.
Yeah, I've seen that.
That's big now. That's the game now.
Yeah, I never thought that I would see that.
Yeah,
I never thought that I'd see
it.
Hood. Yeah,
they playing a lot. They having poker games now.
Yeah, get serious.
3 and 4 in the morning. Yeah,
it's very serious. Yep. So within this whole culture, now we already in South Carolina.
Yeah.
Why you choose Benedict?
You know what? One of my partners, man, DeLon Wiggum, my line brother, actually. Shout out to DeLon Wiggum, my frat brother. He came to class with a brochure, a Benedict College brochure. And, I applied to a couple schools, and they were one of the first ones that really hit me back. Like, hey, we accept you. You know what I'm saying? I think they gave me a small scholarship. Wasn't a lot. Back then, I don't know, $600, $700, $800, something, towards the books for like a semester. And I was like, you know what? Because I didn't really, I wasn't that good in high school to where I got a full ride or some big scholarship. I had to kind of go,
go where they take you.
Yeah. And so he gave me that brochure, man. They accepted me. And the funny part is he was supposed to come, and then I went down there and he didn't come. He went to Wayne State. And he went to Wayne State for a semester though, and he came. He wound up coming
after. So it took him a while.
It took him a semester. So I wound up going that fall of 1990. Right after I left King, I went straight to South Carolina.
What's his name? If you don't mind uplifting.
Who?
The homie that gave you the brochure.
DeLon Wiggum. Yep.
Okay.
DeLon.
So now let's, I guess, because I went to that King. You said hosting the talent shows. How you end up hosting the talent show?
Man, I was doing plays, so I was acting already. So that's kind of how I got my stage presence with comedy and all that. I was already doing theater.
What play do you remember from
So
King?
I was doing, even before King, I was doing, plays like Zoo Man and the Sign. That's old school. That's like black plays, like the Raisin in the Sun. And, stuff like that. I was doing plays like that.
Okay.
And I was in drama class with Denise Davis. She wound up becoming
Dr. Davis over
Dr.
at
Davis, yeah.
Started
so she was the head
DSA.
That's right. She was the head of the drama department when I was at King, and I was under her at King. And me and her wound up doing a play together. You know what I'm saying? After the fact. So that was me and her had some really good history. She showed me when she went and started the School of Arts, Detroit School of Arts. I did a tour and everything of the school. And she brought me in. I think I was I was at Benedict, so I came home one time, and you know what I'm saying, and went through. So we had some history, but being in the drama and all that stuff allowed me, people to look at me and say, "Hey, what you think about hosting, the talent show?" And and then I did it in '89. I co-hosted it in '89, and then in '90, right before I graduated, I did it by myself.
All right, so let me contextualize King High School because I went there, but especially 89, 90. King High School's auditorium
at
the time was state of the art, brand new, and was hosting like it was
other
high
people's
school
graduations,
stuff, like other people's graduations. People would rent it out and do like other productions and stuff.
Absolutely.
Like it was all types of stuff that was happening.
It was probably the nicest venue that you could get to without going to the music hall or the Fox or something like that. It was a smaller venue, but it was actually, like you said, it was state of the art. And everything. So it was beautiful, man. That's why I remember those last 2 years of high school hosting, and then going to college, and then kind of catching the bug still was there. I did Jesus Christ Superstar, which is a musical. I did that when I was at Benedict.
Okay,
and then I kind of gravitated from that to comedy when I came back home. I got kicked out of college too for hazing. That's a whole nother story.
All right.
Yeah. So I got kicked out of school and came home for a minute and started doing comedy. My brother's name is Tony Roney.
Shout out Tony Roney.
And my brother was like, "Hey, you can do comedy." I was like, "All right." And I started doing comedy. That was in 1995.
And this is what he always says. It's like, no, this is my brother.
Yeah, it's my real brother. Not just people like, that's me, my brother. No, that's my real brother. Same daddy, different mom, same dad. Though. But we grew up it's funny because I didn't meet him until I was about 10 years old. It was one of them things my father,
Yeah, it is what it is. The black family.
One day he just said, you know what? He just came home with him. It was like, hey, meet your brother. And I looked at him like,
interesting.
Dude looked just like my father.
Hilarious.
That made me upset though, actually. From a kid standpoint, I was like, I got another brother, because I already had my other brother, Greg Shelton. Here's this guy looking like my daddy for real.
That's crazy.
And that was wild to me as a kid, but me and him connected so hard, like we had grew up in the same house together. It didn't matter. You know what I'm saying? So it was immediately.
And also, I usually get into the parent story, but your parents are actually an imprint in Detroit culture themselves.
Yeah, so my father, my biological father, which is Tony Roney's biological father, too, he passed away. But my stepdad, who was my mother's husband, is Al Chisholm, who is lead singer of The Contours. And if you don't know, The Contours, an old Motown group, they were famous for a lot of songs. One of them especially was "Do You Love Me? Do You Love Me Now That I Can Dance?" Right.
It's one of the original Motown hits.
Yeah.
One of the original Motown hits.
And first I look at the person, and all that. And so, they're still around. They're still doing their thing. Shouts out to The Contours and Joe Billingsley, who is one of the original members who is still with us. So they've been singing. Al himself, Al Chisholm, who's been, is my stepdad. He's been singing for a long time, and probably with The Contours for the last 30 years at least.
Yeah, when I met him, and he told the story about your other brother, and knowing that, I was like, so what's like Howie? And then I was like, that's my guy.
Yeah, the whole family kind of was into stuff. Like my brother that passed away, his name is Greg Shelton. So him and Tony Roney always had that sibling rivalry more than I did. You know what I'm saying? With either one of them, because they were closer in age.
Yeah.
And but they were both entertainment.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And Greg was into it. Tony Roney actually helped Greg transition to Los Angeles.
Wow. And
that was back in in the 90s.
And rest in peace, Greg. Greg's work has like imprints on all forms of television.
Yeah, absolutely. He was a producer for the Image Awards for a number of years. He worked with Jamie Foxx from the Jamie Foxx Show.
Mm-hmm.
He was one of the producers of Laughapalooza in Atlanta, the comedy festival that was there for many years. He worked and was very good friends and probably best friends with Marcus King, who was Jamie Foxx's manager for a long time. They did a TV show together on TV One called Black Men Revealed. Just a host of things, man. And he got me a job as a PA for the Oscars. I actually worked for the Oscars one year, and my brother got me that job.
We definitely got to get a little bit of that story. So, but now we can just go back and pick up with you back in Detroit from Benedict, from Hazen. As anybody that knows Howie, if Atomic Dog comes on.
Yep. Real. Shouts out to Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated.
All right.
E Square, Benedict College.
I can only imagine what form of the Hazen went on. They got you back.
Man, it was just, it wasn't as bad as what people think. We just had somebody basically tell. You know what I'm saying? Went to administration like a lot of people do. If they can't handle it, a lot of people tell.
Yeah.
And so we got kicked out. We were in trial. What's funny is we were in school trial for this during the time that O.J. Simpson was on trial.
Wow.
This was all going on at the same time. That was I would never forget it because I was like, man, we on trial while O.J. on trial.
That's interesting.
And so we wound up getting kicked out. We didn't get expelled where you couldn't come back. We got suspended. And so when that happened, we went to me and Delon. We both got kicked out together.
Okay.
Same guy I told you.
It's like y'all was thick as thieves the whole way through.
So him and a couple other guys. And so we went to the University of South Carolina, which is the Gamecocks.
Oh, okay.
As transient students.
Wow.
So we found a way to still enroll in school the fall that we were supposed to be out of school. We went to the big school. So we wound up going to the major school in town, you know what I'm saying, for a semester and even having even more fun that you can imagine. I mean, it took it to a whole nother level now.
I was going to say the culture of like the HBCU and Benedict.
And so we're in the same city.
Okay.
So we still around each other, you know what I'm saying? But now we at the predominantly white school, if you will. At University of South Carolina, and then I became a bartender at a place called The Bird. Just some of the best years of my life, man. In that time, and then we finally got back to Benedict, and then I graduated. And then when I graduated from Benedict, I moved to LA.
Okay,
just trying to piece the story together.
Okay, and then during this time, comedy.
So during this time, I tried it in South Carolina. When I went back and all that, I wasn't very good in South Carolina. I didn't realize at that time it was still a cultural difference, and your voices is different. The way comedy was different in the South than it was in the North. I didn't realize that when I first started, so I wasn't doing very well when I would go to open mics in the South.
Yeah,
I wouldn't do well at all. I probably did okay one time, and I was like, man, what's wrong with me? But I was new. And then I would go home and it would do better. And I said, okay, well, maybe I was getting something from being in South Carolina doing comedy at that time. And mind you, this is in the 90s. And so when I graduated from college, I was doing comedy in Detroit and then moved to LA. So like that summer.
Okay.
I was still a fairly new comedian in LA.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say. Why did you make the LA jump?
I wanted to leave, man. One of my friends, Spanky Hayes.
Okay, shout out Spanky.
Hayes. You know Spanky is short guy, the original member of Wild 'N Out from Detroit. He convinced me. He was like, man, you can move to L.A. I'm going to L.A. I'm going back. And he had already been there. And plus my brother Greg was there. You know what I'm saying? So
you knew you had a little bit of something.
Yeah. I mean, even though that we had so many bad times, you know what I'm saying? As far as not bad times, as far as like
just getting the balance. Yeah.
Struggle in LA is real. The struggle is
like
real. We were sharing bags of French fries.
Like I tell people, LA, I mean, when we've gone out there, like you can touch down in Skid Row and just see all of the people that went to LA.
Sure
I mean,
still living there.
That Gladys Knight midnight train to Georgia is real.
Yeah.
I
always think about that too with LA. I'm like, man, all these homeless I wonder how many people came out here to pursue a dream. Out of these people.
And then they be Spider-Man on the strip. I'm just messing with you.
No, you're right.
In front of the Chinese theater.
Yeah. I always think about that though. But yeah, man, you in California. So I knew that I had some kind of, people that were there. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that. But really, I went out there on faith though too,
So during this time and in those life experiences, how are you developing your jokes and where things come? Because you're like, I know you hear this oftentimes, but Howie's one of the funniest people, one of the most beloved people, but just your voice, but so much of your voice, I can imagine like it's the experiences you've gone through in life. And when you're that young, what do you bring into the stage like early on with your comedy?
Like I said, I was just pulling from what I'd already been through. And of course, as time went on, you develop, you develop what you are talking about. See, that's the thing. I had to learn how to do comedy. Like, whereas now I think a lot of the newer guys, you know what I'm saying, in stand-up comedy, they don't really develop no more. Like, I think as they jumping from social media to the stage, trying to, they're forcing, and some of them are doing good at it.
Yeah.
But I think some of them are falling off because they're not, you going into, like, it's like you jumping into level B, but you didn't do level A. You know what I'm saying? Or you jumping to C, you didn't start. You know what I'm saying? So you hear, and then you failing. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't have the basic fundamentals.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So so I learned the fundamentals, you know what I'm saying, early on. Plus I already had the theater background, so it wasn't hard for me to have stage presence.
And you definitely have that, and then also your voice.
Yeah.
It connects and it carries more than most, which I'm not saying every comedian needs that, but it's so signature of like, that's Howie.
Yeah. Yep. Theater teaches you that too. You know what I'm saying? How to use your voice, how to, project to the back of the room, all that kind of stuff. So, like I said, I brought a lot of those basic skills, from theater to stand up. And it helped,
And along with this, why were you so passionate about comedy? Because it's so many other things you have access to do.
Well, being a performer within itself, I used to sing too, man. Young adult choir, Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. Shout out to Pastor Adams, man. Rest in heaven. And little Charles, now he ain't little, but little Adams, who was the pastor now. But I grew up in that church and grew up in the choir and singing. I was always performing some kind of way. So stand up wasn't a hard transition. It was difficult to learn the craft. But it wasn't hard for me to say, I want to do this. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it wasn't no big. It was like, okay. And then my brother was already doing stand up, Rony. So I was like, okay.
So
I've been to some shows and stuff like that. And I was like, I could do that.
And being in LA at that time from Detroit, what was the feel that because you're interacting with people like that are superstars, like the Jamie Foxxes and things like that. What was their perspective about Detroit and just coming from Detroit when you got out to LA?
I think most people had a respect for Detroit, even way back. You know what I mean? I think there's a Detroit LA connection too. They have a Detroit picnic in LA every summer.
They do? I didn't know that.
Every summer. Yeah.
Okay.
All the Detroit people meet up, people that are in the business and, or just living in California in general. They go and they come and they meet up. Man, they've been doing that for a long time.
Okay. And
that was a big thing when I first moved to LA. It used to be, man, that was a big thing. A Detroit LA picnic used to be real nice.
Okay. So you're doing you're working the craft, and I know just trying to get time and stages and everything.
Yeah.
What place out there did you really make as the club you really develop more your voice and hold your skills?
Probably the Comedy Store. That was the first place that we all, that's like the comedy college. When you get to California, if you're a real stand-up comedian, you're going to the Comedy Store. That's where you should go. And you learn how to work the door, or if you didn't know how to do that in your own hometown, you learn how to, if there's a fall-off spot and they need somebody to go up, you better be ready. You know what I'm saying? It'll teach you different stuff. You can do improv. We did improv there. I was in a group called The Other Level. It's 4 of us. Me, Spanky Hayes, Joe Blunt, and Thomas Ward. So we had a development deal. We got a development deal when we were there.
What's a development deal?
So a development deal is where, and they used to do them, they don't do them anymore, where they would sign you to an agency or a management of some sort, and to a year contract or maybe whatever the case may be. Ours was a year, and they would usually give you some kind of stipend or some kind of money, and you would be under their tutelage, under their development, until usually you get and develop a television show of some sort or movie, whatever the case may be, you're getting out of it. They used to take artists at one time and develop them and groom them for television and film.
What was
so we had the development deal with Overbrook Entertainment, which is Will Smith's company, Overbrook.
And from that, I'm guessing you definitely are excited. It's like, okay, this is
Yeah.
moving.
It took a while to get to that. A couple of years for us to get to that. Yeah, maybe about 3 or 4 years. Of
Okay.
us working out there, hitting the stages as a group and as individuals, and it took a while to get that deal. You know what I'm saying? And then we got it. My brother Greg Sheldon was instrumental in it. Eddie Griffin was instrumental in it as well. From an abstract point of view, he actually brought cameras in to the belly room at the Comedy Store. 3 cameras, and shot us. And we actually shot like a pilot. So we were actually supposed to kind of work with him under it, and then we kind of used the footage from that pilot and got the deal with Overbrook. Of course, Eddie Griffin wasn't happy about that. You know what I'm saying? He still talk about it to this day.
Hilarious.
but
because he feels as though he got cut out or y'all
like
used my stuff. Yeah.
Which I understood. I understood where he came from. But at the time, we were so young, man, and hungry and starving, bro.
And then understanding the dynamics of
it was like, man, we need this deal, man. You know what I'm saying? He was just telling us, wait, just be a little more patient. We just weren't patient.
Yeah. All right. So that's like, I'm guessing, like you say, like later 90s, I'm guessing, or mid 90s.
Yep, like late 90s when we finally got the deal. I think we signed that deal in 99 or something like that, right there, right at the end of the decade.
All right, and
went through 2000,
And now you have your comedy voice and kind of in that space. What's your Detroit connection now? How often?
So all of us were from Detroit. So we were, at that time, we would come back and forth to Detroit because I remember Coco's was around. Coco's House of Comedy, B's Comedy Kitchen. There was a couple of things that were still around at that time. Even Tiffany and Terry's. There was a comedy club called Tiffany and Terry's. So we would come back and forth, but we were primarily in LA at the time. You know what I'm saying? We were working, trying to,
make it happen with those stages.
Coming to our own. Yeah.
When do you start like going to other cities? Because that's the other thing about you. You're so connected to like the
so that happened
spaces.
For me personally. Well, us as a group, I'll stick to that. We started performing with Jamie Foxx. So we would open up for Jamie. So that's kind of how I started touring, early. You know what I'm saying, with the group.
And this was Jamie Foxx's connected to like his Foxhole special. What was the material he was doing?
Foxhole was a radio station.
Well, like I thought he had like a live from the Foxhole comedy special. Like what comedy special would you say like this is?
We toured with him during the Y2K tour, so it's just 2000.
Okay.
He had a tour called the Y2K
with
tour.
when that was the I Might Need Security content.
I don't know. I can't remember that part.
Which one? I got you.
But we toured with him for a couple years. And then when he came to Detroit, he performed at the Joe Louis Arena during the Unpredictable tour. I opened up for him, actually.
Wow, that's big.
Individual, you know what I'm saying?
That's big.
Yeah, and that was some years later. You know what I'm saying? But we were around Jamie a lot. You know what I'm saying? At that time.
Okay, so like I guess with that, and right now his special, like so many people are talking about, and it's interesting because
that's around right now. That's crazy. Yeah.
And he it's interesting because like it presents like a lot of people like, man, this is great, and I'm like, Jamie's talents are like so different, even though it's in a realm of comedy. It's damn near like Sammy Davis Jr. entertainer, performer,
for a long time.
Yeah.
He would play the piano and do songs and do stand-up. So he would come out, we would come out. Speedy was the original opener for him. He still does. Comedian Speedy. And he would be, basically the host. He would bring the other level out. We would come out and we would do our skits, and then Jamie would come out. So sometimes they would have an intermission, and then Jamie would come out and close the show. He would do 40 minutes of stand-up, 30, 40 minutes of stand-up, and then another 20 minutes
of song.
With song, with comedy too, with song.
Yeah.
He would mix it up. He would be funny while he was playing the piano. And his show was amazing.
Yeah.
And even back then, I mean, we talking 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, to see him still at that level where he can still perform at a high level, I'm not surprised. He's been an incredible performer for a long time.
And and then just like in traveling cities, what have you noticed about like some of the different cultures? Because where are those differences? I know the laughs come wherever you go, but what do you culturally notice like so different in some of these places?
It took years to get that part together. Like, okay, it took me, my original experience with that was when I was telling you about performing in South Carolina. and just kind of not realizing, the humor, the beat, the tone, and then the rhythm is a little different. You know what I'm saying? And so it took me some years to get that together. Like, okay, I'm in New York. Okay, I gotta be a little faster.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They don't want no long drawn out. They want you to get to it. Okay, I'm in Chicago. They want to hear you tell a story. You know what I'm saying? Tell that story, but still be snappy, be funny. I'm in New Orleans, and man, you just gotta be funny. Because if you're not funny, especially in the South, it ain't gonna take long. You know what I'm saying? People think New York is hard. I thought the South was harder.
Mm-hmm.
It took me a little longer to get adjusted. You know what I'm saying? To the tempo and the beat when I was performing in the South. And then, but I love it. I love it now. It's my favorite places to go now, all those cities. Charlotte, Atlanta, Montgomery, Alabama, you name Birmingham, you name it, Houston, Dallas. So any of them places, man, Memphis. I love all the places, St. Louis, but it took me a while to get that. Like, different areas have different tones. And so, I would get in town and start learning. And a lot of comedians used to do this back in the day. You get there, why don't you look at the news? Look at the local news when you get in town. That way you can see what's going on. You might even see something that happened that day, and you get to the stage and like you say it, they don't expect for you to know that, and they gonna laugh. You know what I'm saying? I got here and man, they carjacked somebody at McDonald's over there on Reed Street. They what you know about Reed Street? You feel me? So you find a connection, you know what I'm saying, with your audience in whatever city you in. And that'll kind of get you into familiarity with the people. You know what I'm saying? And how they roll. And then people will talk to you after your show too.
All right.
They'll be like, hey, don't, next time say this. Next time you can say that. Like, because they're trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? People know when you trying to connect with them.
The other connection, as you talk about, is family. You put a lot of your family into your comedy, which is funny because it's like such an arc of Black family as your daughter's here now.
I talk about her.
Yep. When does
I talk about how greedy she is.
Hilarious.
When me bring us back something to eat. Whatever town. Bring me back something to eat. I'm like, from New York?
Hilarious.
Yeah, bring me back with a chopped cheese.
When do you chopped cheese? When do you become Papa Howie? When does the family grow?
What do you mean? Like,
when do you have your first kid?
Okay, tell me a different way. I have to explain that.
So, like, when do you become Father Howie along this journey and count?
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. They never stopped. My son was born the first year I started doing comedy. Son Malik. And
so the whole journey.
Yeah, the whole journey I've been a dad
and
a family guy, husband. Just is what it is.
So
father, son.
And adding that, like, parts of fatherhood to comedy, because a lot of comedians approach fatherhood, but I always think your jokes are like more. It just like it's a Howie voice to it,
right?
And making that choice, because sometimes, like, I guess, like, it can be very intimate and personal, but it also can be more general.
Right.
And you keep it where a level where, like, other people can kind of understand the jokes.
That came from me developing a set like that, or trying to have my set like that, came from being broke. And so I was like, I need the gigs. So I can't afford to be too blue of a comedian or too, raw. It's a corporate show that's offering me, what I'm saying, a gig. It's a family affair over here, or it's a church. And they may want me to come do comedy in the pulpit. I was the host of a Christian entertainment center for a very long time. You know what I'm saying? Called the Upper Room. You remember the Upper Room? It was over there on Grand River and near Telegraph.
I do remember that.
Yeah. I hosted that for almost 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that really strengthened me as a comic too, because I was forced to be clean every time. You know what I'm saying? And not have really no raunchy material at all. So I had to get creative.
And that's where I was going to ask.
And so when I, was exercising that muscle, I just said, you know what, let me just talk about all this family stuff and real general information, but I'm going to make it's going to be real, because it's going to be from me. Real stories. I'm not going to make nothing up.
Yeah.
And so now, when you work that muscle so long like that, I could do shows now in a bar and may not cuss.
Yeah, and I've seen you do that.
Yeah. Like, it's just
And right after one of the most raunchy comedians either, and it doesn't feel like whoa, you took the show in another place and everything.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you just gotta. I start being more conscious about what was coming out of my mouth. Sometimes the N word's gonna come and you're gonna do the F bombs and everything. It'll come. You know what I'm saying? But if you can avoid it and say a different word in its place and still put the inflection like the voice you're talking about, then you become a better comedian.
And you talk about that, and that's where like I always think like it's so signature, like certain things that you've added over time. But now let's talk about that upper room for that long, 10 years. I didn't know that. Yeah. So, and then just that culture and being in that space with the people leaving church, which is the same people in the community. What was it? What was it like holding that down and just
it was
getting
tough,
that space?
Man, it was tough. It wasn't easy. And they would see me. They would be the same people come. We get new people too. But with the regulars would come all the time. They would serve dinner and comedy, man. And it wasn't no bar. It wasn't no. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you drinking lemonade and punch. You know what I'm saying? And you got to make these people laugh. That's a tough muscle to exercise, especially for a lot of people. It was tough for me. But I just kept doing it, and I got better at it. And but it never stopped being, tedious or difficult. I just got better at it.
Yeah, you learned how to approach it. And also your presence of mind and awareness of so many things also in the club. Like like with your daughter, like I just saw you, Coco has the High Society night, and you just awareness and the DJ was like into your set and everything. And you're like, no, I'm a professional comedian. I don't need sound effects and everything. But you still like learn how
added them in there. Because you know why? That's a skill set too. Because I didn't want to make him mad. And then the audience may have wanted to see a little bit of that. And I remember I used to be stubborn and be like, no, I don't want to hear no, because I wasn't into that. Comedians would use the music. I did a little bit. Of course we all, but comedians would use music and dance for 30 minutes and then, you know what I'm saying? That's the show.
Yeah.
Like, nah, you know what I'm saying? That ain't, you know what I'm saying? We all do a little dancing or music. That's what we do. That's the culture. But I was more into the stand-up. So whenever a DJ kept adding sound effects and doing all that, they used to kind of irritate me young off in my career. Now I learned how to roll with it. Talk a little crap about them, but then say, all right, man, come on. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just make light of it, because you got to remember, we comedians, we're supposed to have fun. You know what I'm saying? We're supposed to make sure the audience has fun.
Yeah.
And so we can't be mean. We can't be arrogant. I just never got off into mean comedy. There's a lot of mean comedians out here.
I would say some of my favorite comedians could be mean. And I've seen them be mean, and they're funny. They're good at it.
Yeah, but they're mean.
But it makes you think like,
And they can't get everybody. They're only going to have a certain sector of society.
Yeah, and I'm in that sector. I like some mean comedians sometimes.
See, me, I was one. I'm one of the ones that I want as many people to enjoy
the experience,
what I got to offer, as possible.
Because
I don't want to put myself in a box and say, okay, I'm this type of comedian. I never wanted to be that. I just wanted to be a comedian.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be, you're a black comedian, or you're an urban comedian, or you're a mainstream comedian. No, I'm a comedian. It doesn't matter.
Which brings the connection of us once again. I love how y'all see y'all look.
All love, brother.
Of the iteration and connection to Detroit is different, where now you are a staple as a judge in the Collard Green Cook-Off. And your perspective of food itself, because you really do know, like Coco, shout out Coco, almost like my auntie too, is like, Howie really can cook.
Yeah.
Like how, like not like you know what I'm saying, putting Laurie's on everything and saying like this is good, and you know what I'm saying, and like some butter and parm.
I had a couple people at the Greens Cook-Off get mad at me. It was like, why you so tough on them?
Yeah, Howie was ridiculous.
I'm like,
his standard, he was the Simon Cowell of collard greens.
I'm like, what you want me to do? Lie?
Yeah.
I can't lie. This is not good. This one's not good. I'll give it a 2.
And Howie's perspective, especially with Mike Leary hosting, now it's like Coco got to be a referee to overcount some of Howie's craziness, because this is, we gonna keep growing. As Howie even pulled me to the side, like, this gonna keep growing, and I'm like, it will.
Absolutely.
And I think we're gonna add other cities and all that stuff. But Howie's a standing championship judge from now on. If
the only thing we was missing, I think I told you this, is maybe like 1 or 2 food trucks that sell like some fried fish, some
that complement
the greens, and have greens available for sale.
And we're gonna have
that. A couple of people came to me and was like, "Well, okay, well, I'm gonna buy the green."
And we're gonna have that. Yeah. We will have both
some adjustments and some improvements. That's all.
And we will have both because I'm like you. Ain't nothing better than some good collards and some good catfish.
That's right.
You know, and mix it together with some hot sauce and cornbread.
You ain't gotta do a whole bunch of different foods. You can just stick to it. Like I used just with the greens. Maybe like you said, just have one truck that has just the fish.
And it's
your compliment, you know.
But let's talk about you and your cooking, because you got some jokes about it. How did you learn all these skills in culinary arts and stuff?
So, my granny, and my mother's side of the family. To start there, her father, Granddaddy Riley. You know what I mean? Rest in peace. He was the cook and the chef of the family, you know, even before I was born.
Yeah.
And he passed that skill set down to his kids. And my mother, which is his daughter, passed it down to me.
So these are family recipes.
Very good cook.
These are family recipes.
You know what? Family recipes mixed with, but nothing written down. Nothing written down, though. All here and watching and learning. Because a lot of it is the way you might mix something. Time that's got to be there. You might start something on high. I was saying this to people at the Greens Cookout. Try cooking your greens on high for that first hour, and then turn it all the way down for like 3 more to like low or on 1. And it's gonna make a difference. It's gonna make your greens melt in your mouth, as opposed to them still being a little tougher cooked, but they ain't tender enough. You know what I'm saying? And the flavors haven't marinated. So anyway, that skill set is kind of what I learned from mom. And then my father's side of the family, his mother was an incredible cook. That's the mean granny I talk about in my act.
Yeah.
She was one of the best. So she used all those cast iron skillets and, you know, like she made spaghetti in a skillet back then that I wish I could knew how to repeat that taste. And it was that, and people don't even make spaghetti like that no more. But in that big black cast iron skillet, she would make spaghetti in that.
Wow.
And that had a whole different taste than what we kind of know now.
So it's interesting you even bring that up.
Taking little stuff from different people and watching it through the years. That's how that.
And you also watch some of the cooking shows, but most of this really isn't even the cooking shows.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's really what you've learned already from family, or some from cooking shows.
It's some from cooking shows. I went back then. That's back when DPS had a lot of programs. I was actually in cooking class at King.
Wow!
So I took a cooking class at King, and they taught me things too. You know, how to properly cut vegetables, how to saute. You know, different. You know, things like that. Skills that none of the new kids know. They think they know how to cook.
Hilarious.
They know what they're doing, but they don't. You know. Once again, get back to the basics. You gotta have some basic culinary skills, and then that'll help you cook other stuff, bigger things or different, you know, meals or what have you. If you don't have the basics down, you're not gonna be a good cook.
Because Coco said it like this. She was like, "Yeah, when I remember the first time we was trying Howie's food, he invited everybody up, like y'all can try something, and we just thinking we gonna eat it. Y'all know, like somebody invite you over, and you just being nice and pleasant.
Yeah."
She was like, people wanted seconds.
Yeah.
So when did you start sharing,
I was cooking for the comedians for a long time. When I was, you know, a young comedian in Detroit, and then when I would come home.
Even in L.A.?
Yeah, even in L.A. Yeah, absolutely. I would have parties. I was known for having parties and get-togethers and stuff like that. And I would cook. You know what I'm saying? And, yeah, man, you know, it was enjoyable. It's enjoyable to see people enjoy your food. You got to have passion behind food in order to make it good. You know what I mean? You got to have love. You can't just be trying to throw something together. You know what I mean? You got to,
what's your favorite, as your daughter's here, what's the favorite meal you make for your kids? What's their favorite meal?
That's a good question. That's a good question. What's your favorite meal, Carly? Corned beef.
Okay, so you do some corned beef.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know why. It's somebody from Tennessee. Shout out Nadir that's like, what is up with Detroiters liking corned beef?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's been around since I was little. It's been around. I don't know who brought that up to Detroit and said, we're going to start eating corned beef. I don't know who did that.
It was the lambs of the 60s.
Absolutely. Because now everybody loves lamb chops in Detroit. Yeah. But lamb chops kind of been popular in Detroit, too, for like the last 30 years.
Yeah.
In the bars and, you know. But corned beef, I don't know what it is about corned beef. We grew up in Detroit eating corned beefs, and that was a skill set to learn how to cook those too, because you can mess that up too. So, but now I put mine in the slow cooker now.
So for corned beef, how do you approach it? What do you do?
I just put mine in the slow cooker now.
Okay.
I just do it like that now.
But seasoning any?
Nah, corned beef comes already salty.
Okay.
You don't want to really add nothing.
Okay, so you just let it go.
Yeah. Put it in that slow roaster for about 8 hours, man.
All right. What's the and now I'm about to pull this recipe from you. What's the Howie Bell chili recipe? And when we think about this,
I'm not the best chili guy.
You don't like chili?
I love chili.
But you don't do it.
I'm not the best cooker of chili. That's funny. That's one of the dishes I could make, but I ain't the best at it.
What's your stand up dish then?
I do a lot. Yeah. So I make pastas too. So I make like our grilled chicken, mushrooms, bell peppers, onions, and maybe some grilled shrimp mixed in. You know, sometimes I'll do the Alfredo, 4 cheese. Sometimes red sauce. Just depends.
Okay.
I make pastas and stuff like that too.
Okay. So I guess it's more so like a timing thing.
What I want to make. You know what I'm saying? What I feel like, man, I do really good Salisbury steaks and any kind of things with ground beef, or any meatloafs and stuff like that. I can do those meatballs. I make all the handmade meatballs. I do all my stuff handmade, you know, all that kind of stuff. Add my own, you know, make my own toast, make my own breadcrumbs, do all that.
Wow.
Yeah, I do all that kind of stuff.
So you get down with a meatloaf then?
Yeah, with any kind of, you know, with that, any kind of fish. I make all kinds of fish, anything. Yeah, she said neck bones. That's my, so I make beef neck bones, whether they're barbecue or gravy. They are delicious. You know what I'm saying? That's poor man's oxtail.
Poor man's oxtail, hilarious.
Beef neck bones.
Poor man's oxtail.
Make them beef neck bones with the, you know, little jasmine rice and you know, a little fried cabbage or something.
And all of this, and then this is what's so interesting because you were so specific during the collard green cook-off, and this is what I like about the collard green cook-off. Because it's competitive. So the first year we did it, it was just all judge-led. And then people were mad. They said the audience needs to vote. But the cool thing I like about it, as we're looking to, people know I love sports, add more like sports elements to it. And to watch like grandmas get as competitive about something like we would get about sports. Because that's really what the collard green cook-off is. Like Howie was being booed a lot. Actually, for some of his takes, but he was giving like some context to all his takes about texture.
They had to respect it. I had to earn my respect. A couple times they was like, "Oh, come on, you gave him a 1?" I'm like, "Yeah, this wasn't, you know."
and he's gonna be on the end next time because he can't start stuff off. So,
but you know who's that? Jerome Bennett's mom, right?
Yeah, my bus. Yeah,
my bus was with me now. She was kind of neck and neck with me, you know, on the way we were judging.
So hilarious.
We were talking. She was like, "Yeah, this one ain't right."
Hilarious.
That was fun, man.
But
I think that why we get back on the collard greens. I like the fact that you had like the local. Your judges are like local Detroit. You know, entertainers or, you know, celebrities or
public figures. Yeah.
Public figures, so to speak. That's a really good idea. Maybe even bring in Kim Worthy or somebody like that.
We gonna definitely add in
somebody. You know. We'll get the new lady. What's her name? What's her last name? Running for the mayor now.
Oh, you got Mary. You got Santil, Mary Sheffield. You got Santil Jenkins. You got a couple different folks.
Sheffield. I like her. You know, somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? Just, you know, things to think about when we get, you know.
Oh yeah, closer to the playoffs and because now we'll add some other cities, so I think that'll add a different flair. Because I think we'll probably a group in Memphis will do it, Cleveland and Memphis, Cleveland, and Chicago, and then still do a championship here.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
And we'll see, which I'm sure that'll add a whole nother level of competition.
Competitiveness. Absolutely.
Where it's like
have them cities come here.
Yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. The championship going to stay in Detroit.
Right,
but they can do their playoff rounds where they do their playoff rounds for Juneteenth celebrations. So
yeah, I'm going to say this too before we can, because I know we kind of
get near the end. Yeah.
But I'm going to say this, man. Like Detroit is different. There's people in Detroit like yourself,
Mm-hmm.
that have been around doing this through the city not being where it is now.
Yeah.
Economically, sports wise, Lions wasn't doing good. I mean, but we've been there.
Yeah.
People like yourself, like Tony Roney, like Coco,
Mm-hmm.
myself, that have been there to still hold it down in our own way.
Yeah.
Even through the struggle, and that's big. That's big time, man.
Thank you.
That's big time.
Thank you.
And we don't get enough credit for that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think that's where
holding it down when it wasn't nothing.
Hey,
you know what I'm saying?
He's seen the arc of Detroit is different,
Absolutely.
like you say, closet with with a microphone before.
And I was wearing Lions shirts before anybody was wearing Lions.
Hey, Howie Kool-Aid
with the Lions.
Kool-Aid used to make fun of you for that, and many others.
Kool-Aid was Dallas Cowboys, and I was Lions. But everybody made fun of me. They like, why you like the Lions?
And he really,
and now everybody on the line. I'm like,
yeah. Howie was a devout Lions fan for one playoff victory most of his life.
Literally. I used to go out of town wear my Lions shirts on stage. They used to laugh at me. Crowds would laugh at me.
Yeah.
Now I go out of town wearing Lions these last couple seasons. Oh, they own it now.
Yeah, they rocking with you.
They rocking with me.
The other Lions fans are coming out, the Detroiters.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So yeah, as we get to a close, classic Detroit is different questions. Very first car, year, make, and model, year you got it.
Ooh, my father gave me a Chrysler LeBaron.
A LeBaron.
A LeBaron. That was in 80. I was a freshman at King. So like 86.
Okay.
And he gave me it was a black Chrysler LeBaron with burgundy interior.
Okay.
You know that velvety like burgundy.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
That was my car. That was like 80. I wasn't a freshman. I was a sophomore. So that was when I got my license. So like 88.
Oh, so you was riding?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I used to park in the student parking lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a car in high school.
Okay.
For a minute till they stole it.
Hilarious.
I broke down on 75 near Davidson. Went back to the
next day. It's my neighborhood.
Man, my father was hot. He was so mad at me. Get that car stolen.
What's up with the? And see, this is the black experience as parents. You get your bike stolen, your car stolen. Your parents look at you like,
yeah. He was like, "Wow, how'd you do that?" I'm like, "It broke down, So, and I was still young with car. You know what I'm saying? Brand new license, holder. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't go right back to get it. Like I think I might have waited a day, and it was gone. So, in hindsight, we did the police report. My father, we never recovered the car though. He was so mad about that.
I could imagine.
I'm talking about hot.
I know.
You know what I'm saying?
What was the cultural experience like to go from riding
to the
on
bus.
Tuesday back to the bus?
Back to the bus, man. I was killing it for about 2 semesters.
Because for everybody that took the bus, it was always a dream of when you finally get your ride right past everybody at the bus stop.
Yeah. So I was doing that early, and then now I got to get on the bus. As an upperclassman. I'm on the Dexter now. Yeah, I'm going to stand at the bus stop getting the mud splashed on me.
Back on the 16.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is, that bus. You know what I'm saying?
The other question, you the DJ at the end of the fireworks. You get to play 2 songs, Woodward and Jefferson. What songs you playing?
Oh, wow. One of them got to be Mama Used to Say, Take Your Time, Young Man. Hey, Mama Used to Say. And then we in Detroit, so another one got to be It's Time for the Percolator.
Okay.
It's Time for the Percolator.
Okay.
Give me them two, and I guarantee I rock the crowd.
Stepping in
2 songs. Give me them 2.
I'm with it.
We in the D.
All right, and last question. You could rename Woodward after one Detroiter. Who would it be and why?
Coleman Young, for sure, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
That was the mayor I grew up, with, and he was the one that gave us the confidence as Detroiters. Probably what we know now as the Detroit attitude and our style and swag. That came from Coleman Young.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying, and his style and his swag and how he carried himself. And people that don't remember who Coleman Young is, he was one of the toughest mayors. He's the one that's famous for if you don't like it here, hit 8 Mile Road.
I love it. And he's the most...
you don't like it here, hit 8 Mile.
Yeah.
And I think that attitude, we still, real Detroiters got that still, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why real Detroiters are a little bit hesitant with this whole gentrification thing that's going on right now with Detroit. we need to be included in this.
Yeah.
With this process. Some are. I'm not going to take that. But more need to be.
Yeah.
Because we're the loyalists of the 313.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Not the 248.
Mm-hmm.
Not the 734.
Mm-hmm.
The 313.
Definitely.
You know what I'm saying? So, we are the ones. You know what I'm saying? And we held it down through the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yeah.
And we got a pride about ourselves that's unmatched. People in other cities know you from Detroit. They can see you and they be like, "You from Detroit?"
Yeah, they do.
They just know now.
Yeah,
we got a whole different swag. We got a whole different way we carry ourselves, and our pride is different. And we ain't no dummies.
No,
Detroit guys and girls, are really intelligent on a high level. They got the street mixed with the book smart, mixed with the common sense. We got a lot of common sense here, which is gone in a lot of places. And so it's hard to get over on people from Detroit.
Yeah, well, I could imagine.
I mean, it's tough.
I could imagine.
Can't really pull the wool over our eyes here. You know what I'm saying?
To the point where, like, sometimes my Detroit triggers things where it's like, I should have more empathy for certain things and certain things that happen to people, but you be thinking like, oh man, you should have known that you was about to get played like a sucker.
Right.
That's kind of in my mind.
Yeah.
Where it's like, no, I should have empathy because
a little more. Yeah. We just grew up kind of with that hardcore, mentality of, oh well.
Like classic story. I'll close on this. We was doing a tour in Chicago, and one of the acts that came, and she is from she's from like Novi or whatever, and she had like a brand new camera, and she put the camera on the countertop of the bar, and she walked away to do her set and everything, and somebody took her camera, and then they was like, man, I can't believe they stole my camera. The Detroit in me was like, I don't necessarily know if that's stealing, which it probably is, but the concept of possession after you walk away from something being in Detroit is like, you should assume, like your car,
that's the
that
part.
You just charged that camera to the game. Now, if you still got it, amazing.
Yeah.
But you were hoping on the benevolence and stuff. But
yeah.
But that's just classic Detroit. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Like, not that it's cool to steal.
No. But in my mind, I don't even know. It's like
stolen, though.
It's like if you walk away from something, like, is this theft?
Yeah, absolutely, man.
But Detroit thoughts. Howie, thank you, sir.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. This great city of Detroit is the reason why I'm doing it as well as I'm doing, man.
All right, respect.
Great foundation.
And I'm going to have it in your lower thirds, but how should people get at you?
Well, definitely, my number, I'm like Mike Jones, baby, 313-207-7647. You can always call me direct. My number is public. You can Google it, Howie Bell, contact come up. But Howie Bizzell on Instagram, HOWIEBIZZELL, Howie Bizzell on the gram. Facebook is just Howie Bell. And matter of fact, you Google Howie Bell, you'll find me.
Yep. Peace. It's enough.
Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today